Caitlin here, aka Scribble Sketch, and today we are back with another episode of Scribble Stories, or Stories to Scribble, whatever you want to call it. First of all, I want to say the reason why I am wearing this kind of silly looking snapback here is because I was originally going to record this yesterday, but a load of things happened yesterday. I had to do so much housework and whatnot. I didn't realise that I was a little bit falling behind on it, so I was like, okay, I actually need to clean the house and whatnot, and after the time I got all that done, there wasn't really time to record the video, so I went to bed and I woke up this morning and my hair just would not cooperate. So I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna pop on this snapback here and just hide my atrocious hair that is just like not even wanting to cooperate today. So hence why I'm wearing this. I also got this at Glasgow Film and Comic Con. I kind of won it in like a dance competition in the audience participation thing during the time warp with my friend. We both got snapbacks and we both got mugs, so that's pretty awesome. But the topic of today's video is actually one that I've been wanting to talk about for a little bit of a while now, but I've been thinking about, okay, what's the best way for me to do this? And I guess it would be within the YouTube video. I wanted to talk about my own personal experiences with convention or cosplay creeps. Stories like this like pop up all the time, whether it be from Tumblr, through YouTube, Facebook and whatnot, and they pop up quite often. And I feel like, you know, sometimes you just need someone else to share their opinion, give their voice and share their stories in order to help you understand some of these things a bit better, and to help you, you know, feel like you're not alone. These things happen and can happen to anyone. Like, it's not always girls, it can happen to guys, it can happen to basically anyone. And I just wanted to share some of my own personal stories of things that I've experienced with people that have made me either a bit uncomfortable or have made me creep out or have just made me like feel like questioning about whether I want to continue cosplaying, going to conventions and whatnot. I've never been to the point where I question it or whatever, because I have so much fun there. I get to see my friends, I get to cosplay, I get to meet people and everything, take lots of photos, and it's a great experience. But one or two times it has happened to me where I've met individuals or whatever that have made my experience a bit uncomfortable, and I just felt like it's best if I share it with you people, and that way you can get an understanding as to maybe some of the things that I've experienced, and maybe it'll help make people more comfortable sharing their stories and whatnot, and we can maybe like finally like get somewhere in the world where we know that cosplay does not equal consent. And that's one of the main driving points or whatever that I always like, you know, follow up on, and I'm always reading people's stories and whatnot, because I want to educate myself, and I want other people to, you know, be able to be comfortable to share their stories and everything. So for the first story, we're going to go way back. This will probably be, it's like the one where like it's the biggest convention I've ever went to. So that would be the very first year I went to MCM Scotland. I believe the very first year it was 2013. I finished high school in 2012, so I was about 16, 17 at the time, I believe. I was still underage, like, don't get me, I was still underage, but I was going to MCM Scotland for the very first time, and I was very excited because this was like, oh, this is going to be like the biggest, best convention in Scotland ever, and it still is to this day a pretty awesome and big convention for us in Scotland, and I was so excited. It was like the kind of like, I've been to like smaller cons, whatever, I've been to like D-Con and things like that, but this was like something on a big, grander scale, and I went with a couple of friends, and the majority of my friends weren't cosplaying, but I was cosplaying. I was cosplaying Kari from Digimon Season 1, so I was cosplaying her, and yeah, it's like one of my oldest cosplays. I am kind of maybe thinking of bringing it back and updating it a little bit, because I need like a better wig and whatnot and everything, and I probably feel a lot more comfortable in it now than I did back then, because I was still a wee bit like iffy about being comfortable in cosplay. So I was cosplaying her. I was really excited, mainly because that year Vic Mignogna was one of the guests. I remember like very vividly. I was really excited, and he was super nice when I went to go and get an autograph. He said that I looked really cute as Kari, and he's like, oh, that's like adorable. I think that's really nice to see you did a Digimon cosplay, because, you know, I don't think he knew at the time or whatever about coming back to Digimon, because obviously that was 2013. Try didn't come out until many years later or whatever, but it was still pretty cool. He was like, I liked your cosplay and everything, and it was a good day. And then it was like about, I think, halfway through the day, this really tall guy came up to me. Now, I'm very small. I don't know if you can really get that from me sitting on a bed or sometimes when I'm vlogging and whatnot, but I am very short. I'd say I'm probably just below like 5 foot or so. Is it 5 foot? Is it? I'm not quite sure how you measure it with height or whatever, but I am very small. People can vouch for me who know me. I am a very small person. So like when someone is like very tall, sometimes either I can be very intimidated by them unless I know them very well and I'm comfortable with them, but majority, if it's just a total stranger, I am sometimes quite intimidated by like very tall people. He came up to me and he asked if he could get a photo with me because he said he loved Digimon, and me being naive or whatever, I was like, oh yeah, I'm sure that's fine. You know, I was just like happy that maybe someone appreciated my cosplay and everything. And he got a photo with me, and then he kind of lingered about a little bit near us, and he was like, oh, Carrie is like my favourite character from Digimon and whatnot, and I think she's so cute, and she's like, I think the most beautiful one. And at the time I didn't really think too much of it, because I was like, yeah, sure. Because I wanted to go back with my friends or whatever, and they were still hanging about waiting on me, but this guy just like wouldn't leave. And then he went on like to go like, oh, I think you really suit Carrie. I think it makes you look really cute, really adorable. Yeah, I would definitely hook up with you. And I was like, oh, okay, right. And yeah, so I wasn't quite sure how to feel about that. Eventually he did like go away or whatever, and I went back with my friends, but I felt like a little bit unnerved a bit from it, because I was like, okay, this is a bit weird, because I was underage at the time technically, and the character I was cosplaying was also underage. If you know Carrie from season 1, I think she's like maybe 7 or 8 years old, or even younger than that, because the main cast I think are like in their 10, 12-year-old region. I'm pretty sure they're at least 10 years old or whatever, so they're a lot younger in that season as compared to Digimon Tri or like Digimon Adventure 2. So I was a little bit weirded out or whatever, but I went on with the rest of my day. I kept seeing them like in the distance sometimes, like looking in my direction, like and I did feel a little bit unnerved about it. But the weirdest thing that happened was after the convention, he somehow found me on Google Hangouts. Like, I had never used Google Hangouts before. I didn't even know it existed as a thing, because I got like a brand new phone around that time, because my birthday is around about the same time as MCM. So I got a new phone and new fancy phone, Android phone, whatever. I didn't even know what Google Hangouts was. I don't even know how he found me on Google Hangouts, but he found me there. I think I posted a picture of my cosplay on Tumblr or something like that. I tagged obviously MCM Scotland and things like that in the tags. And somehow, I don't know how, but he found me through Google Hangouts, and he was like, oh, I don't know if you remember me. I was the guy that really liked your Carrie cosplay, or Carrie cosplay. I was like, oh, okay. I wasn't quite sure how to respond to it. I was still a little bit weirded out that he hunted me down through Google Hangouts, whatever. Not even my Facebook. Like, if my Facebook, I'd be like, alright, but my Facebook is like private. It's only to my friends, so only my friends can really see my posts. But yeah, he found me through Google Hangouts, and like I was weirded out at first. I didn't really want to respond to him, because I was like, I don't really know who you are. I don't really get what's going on. So I was just kind of like passive in my answers. I was like not really wanting to encourage conversation with this total stranger. But you know, eventually I was just like, oh yeah, sure. And then he started trying to like pry out of me where I lived, and that's when like kind of red flags were signaling. So I was like, oh, no, I don't really share my location with people I don't really know. And then he was like, oh yeah, your hair looked really cute and sexy and everything. And I was like, you do know that was a wig, right? I was wearing a wig because I was in cosplay. And he's like, oh, I bet you would suit your hair like that. Like, he didn't know what I actually looked like because I was in cosplay, obviously. And it was just a really weird conversation. And eventually I just like, you know what, I'm not replying to this anymore. And I pretty much stopped replying to him. And pretty much it ended there. He didn't bother me after that. He didn't send any more messages after that. And I kind of just like forgot about it for a while and everything. But I was really like disturbed that this guy had found me on Google Hangouts of all things, of a thing that I never even used. Still don't know to this day how he found me on that. But yeah, that was a really, really weird experience, especially considering the character that I was cosplaying. Another instance of this would be specifically a convention one, where I wasn't actually in cosplay, I was vending at a convention. And this kind of happened. I believe I think it was Decon. It was one Decon that I was vending at. I can't remember what year it was. It might have been 2016, if I remember correctly. It might have been. I think it actually was 2016, because I was out in the gazebo tent thing outside. It was like a big marquee area because there wasn't any tables inside, so I was in the marquee area outside, and it was a little bit windy and stuff, and blah blah blah. This was about the time where I still had a boyfriend and whatnot, but he had went off to go and look at things. I was left on my own. Someone came up to me and they were wearing like this weird alligator mask. Like, it was really weird. Like, I don't know what the cosplay was meant to be. He was wearing like a suit and he had like an alligator mask on or whatever. And I don't know if he was saying something because I couldn't hear him through the mask. He was just kind of like standing there staring. I don't know if he was staring at me or staring at the pictures I had. So he stood at the front of my table for a very long time. He wasn't like looking through my other artwork. He wasn't like trying to talk to me. But eventually he said something like, yeah, I wonder if you know who I am. And I was really weirded out by that. I was like, huh? Like, do I know you? Like, are you a person that I know? I can't obviously see your face underneath the mask and whatnot. And then he went on this big long tangent about something, and I was just really confused and weirded out. I was just like staring at him like, okay, I can't hear half of what you're saying in this mask, and you're going on some kind of monologue, and I really wasn't getting it. And like he stopped eventually and just kind of stared at me. And then he took off the mask, and lo and behold, I didn't know who he was. He was a complete stranger or whatever. And he was like, oh, I would have thought you would have got that, you know, it was Gummy's existential crisis or whatever. And I was like staring at him for the longest time. I was like, what on earth are you talking about? Like, I don't actually know. And then I was like, no, I'm really sorry, I'm not sure what you're talking about. And he's like, you know, from the Spice of, from the Slice of Life episode or whatever, from My Little Pony. I was like, oh, okay. No, I didn't get that. I didn't get that at all. Because obviously, he was talking about Gummy, which is a pet crocodile or alligator. And, you know, with him wearing a suit and a crocodile or alligator mask, I was like, didn't really make that connection or whatever. And he was like, yeah, this is my cosplay. And I was like, okay. I think it was because maybe I had one picture that was My Little Pony related on my table. That was maybe why he kind of came over and, like, started that monologue or whatever. But it really creeped me out. And I was just like, okay, that's fine. He seemed kind of angry that I didn't understand the reference and whatnot, but at that point, I wasn't really into My Little Pony as heavily as I was. I still had some leftover art that I had from when I used to vend at pony conventions and everything, which I don't do anymore, but I still have some of the leftover art, so I still display it whenever I go to different anime conventions or whatever, like in the hopes that someone will buy it and I can get rid of the stock. But I was really weird. I was really weirded out by that. I don't know if it was specifically just him kind of like trying to talk to someone about something he liked, and maybe it just came out off the wrong way. But it really creeped me out, just the way he was just like standing there for ages, and he went into that entire monologue without prompting and everything, and then he just seemed kind of angry that I didn't get the reference, and I could see him like bobbing about the rest of the day in the marquee, and he'd sometimes like, well, I say look in my direction, the mask was facing my direction, but he could have been looking at something else, whatever. But yeah, that was a really weird experience. And the kind of, I think the most recent one actually was literally maybe last week. This one wasn't as bad as a thing. It was more, it took me by surprise and kind of unnerved me a little bit. But I got over it kind of quickly. So I was there at Glasgow Film and Comic Con at Braehead Arena, just there. I was dressed up as Kaede Akamatsu from Danganronpa V3. We had like a little small mini V3 group or whatever, just a couple of us there, which was really fun. I had a great day. If you follow me on Instagram or whatever, you'll see all the photos and the videos that I took and everything. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, by the way, if you want to see more cosplay related stuff and just convention related things. But yeah, me and my friend who was cosplaying Shuichi had decided that we were going to sign up for the masquerade, and we were going to do like a little mini performance thing or whatever. So we went over to the sign up table for the masquerade, and my friend Shuichi was like, you know, explaining some of the things that we needed to say for the sign up, like our character names, do we need any music, do we need the microphones, and I was just standing like waiting to like chime in if I needed to provide any help or whatever. And then out of nowhere, I just felt someone coming up and hugging me. And I was really, like, at first I thought it was one of my friends, because, like, we had some of our friends milling about or whatever. But then I kind of, like, turned my head, and it was, like, this guy. I didn't know who he was. He was, like, a little bit taller than me, but not that much. And he just, kind of put his arms around me and went, "You're cute." And I really didn't know what to say to that. I was just really, like, shocked. I was like, thanks. I wasn't quite sure what to think, whatever. And it lasted maybe like that. It was, like, 2 seconds, and then he let go, and then he just left, and he was gone. And my friends were like kind of looking at me, and I was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm really not sure what happened there. That was really weird." And the sign-up guy was really nice. He was like, "Are you alright? Do you want me to say something to security? Because that's not on. Like, if you don't feel comfortable about that, that's not on." And the sign-up guy was really sweet, and he was really nice, like, to try and comfort me and everything. And I was like, "Yeah, I think I'm fine." I was really taken aback by that, and I wasn't quite sure what to think about that. I was just more taken by surprise than like by actual discomfort, but afterwards I was just like, it was really weird. I didn't really like that at all. So yeah, even as recently as now, these things can still happen. And I would say to you guys that if you don't know who the person is, if you don't know like the person behind the cosplay, I wouldn't say it's good to just randomly go up to them and hug them. I would ask them for permission first, certainly. Because that really kind of creeped me out, and I was really like worried for a minute there, but eventually I like got past it, and we enjoyed the day, and we had a good time at the masquerade and stuff. But yeah, those has been like some of my experiences with cosplay or convention kind of creeps and whatnot. I don't have like too many stories in regards to that. Probably the first one would be the one that kind of creeped me out the most, mainly because he found me online, and which was really weird because I didn't really share that I was cosplaying too much on many of my social media. I think I shared it to Tumblr, and that was about it because I didn't really use Instagram at the time. I didn't use like many kind of social media apps. I think like Tumblr was the one I used probably back in 2013 the most. That might have been where he got it, but yeah, it was like really weird. And those have been really my stories to do with kind of cosplay and convention creeps and whatnot. Let me know, guys, do you have any stories to tell? I feel like it's best if you share your stories and let other people know your experiences and the things that you've went through as well. Because I think if you get the message out there, it helps encourage and educate people that yes, you need to be very aware of people and their personal space. Some people have like anxiety, some people have like these different things when they go to like conventions and whatnot. You know, they feel more comfortable in the friend group. Some people are not okay with physical contact, and you should respect that. And as I said before, cosplay is not consent. You should ask permission before you like touch people unexpectedly, or like tapping their shoulders or going for hugs or anything like that. You should ask their permission first. Like obviously that is major importance. And you know, if you have been like, you feel like you've been targeted or whatever, or you feel like uncomfortable at the expense of like some other people, you should definitely tell security and let them know, or let like the convention staff know, or let them know so they can look out for these people and keep other people safe. It's the best way to keep people safe. But anyway, guys, I hope this video has been very educational. I hope it is like giving you a little bit of insight into some of these things that I have personally experienced myself. And I hope this maybe makes you feel more comfortable sharing some of your stories in the future, whether it be with your friends or whether it be with other people in the community and whatnot, in order to keep people safe and everything. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see all you guys.
This video was made possible thanks to patrons such as Alucard, Craig McCutcheon, and the Carnivalous Waltz.